Welcome back to Allison Custom Project Car TV and the Revive Your Daily Driver series. Today we are installing some new CV axles. Passenger side CV, inner CV joint is real loose, starting to make a little bit of noise. 172,000 miles on the truck, so it's about time. We'll go ahead and get one side pulled off, swap it out, and then we'll do the other side. It does take two different axles, so make sure you don't buy two of one number. For my truck, I bought these on Amazon. It just happened to be the best price with shipping. So they're Cardon, C-A-R-D-O-N-E, Cardon parts. One is 604240, the other is 604199, and a little over $100 a piece for, I'm sure they're rebuilt, but for new axles, new to me axles. How's that? One of them says it's remanufactured, the other just says made in Mexico, so probably assembled in Mexico. Anyway, we're going to pull them out of the boxes. We'll probably start on the passenger side because it's a little easier to film on this side, but kind of have to undo some of the work we did before when we were putting in the strut. Not a lot of it, but cause like we don't have to take the whole strut out, but we do have to disconnect it, disconnect the sway bar, basically pull the whole upright off so that we can pull the axle all the way out. So, you know, you kind of, if you had these parts in hand when you were doing struts or something, it would be the time to do it. For me, I didn't have the parts, didn't even know I really needed them. I was hearing some noise, but I thought it might be something loose in the suspension rather than a clunking in the CV joint because it wasn't only under acceleration. So and then while we're in there, I've got sway bar bushings to go around the sway bar, and we'll go ahead and get those replaced, and that should take care of the whole front end with everything we've already completed. With the rear end done on episode 2 and this being episode 3, I think we are, with these, we will be completely done, ready for an alignment, and we can move on to some other stuff like the headlights and cosmetic stuff that we're going to want to change up as we go along. So let's get toolbox out of the way, get the tires off, get started. All right, so as I said before, we're going to have to pull the upright out of the way to get the axle out from behind it, which means we're taking this nut off, which means we got to take the caliper, the rotor, and then to get everything to slide out of the way far enough, we're going to have to unhook the 2 bolts up here on the strut, which means we're also going to take loose our cable for the speed sensor. This is the one I broke, still haven't replaced it. And then we'd need to take loose the brake hose, just kind of get the caliper out of the way. This all should fall forward, so it's really only about maybe 4 or 5 bolts, and actually I was wrong, we don't have to take the sway bar link loose, so probably can even leave the steering in place. So see what we have to actually take apart to get to the axle, but this is the bad side for sure, so this is definitely one to be replaced. We're just going to do the other side for, you know, to keep everything matching, I guess, to keep all the parts. And then the bushing for the sway bar, one of them's right here, so it's going to be pretty easy access. The only other side's a little more hidden, but should be able to get them all out. Bolts are in the top, so we'll just have to get it from the top side here. So let me grab, it looks like 14 millimeter, 12 millimeter. This will be a big one. We'll have to figure out what that is. And then 19 millimeter for these, or these might have been 20 millimeter. Anyway, I'll get some tools and we'll get started. Now, while you've got stuff apart, there's hoses and all, you know, fittings and all kinds of stuff back in here for your power steering, for your heater lines, all, you know, look all that stuff over, because it'd be way easier to replace some of this while you had other pieces out of the way. I have been through over the years a few of the different hoses, but for now, everything still looks pretty good. I don't see anything that's really badly deteriorated or anything, so we'll keep going with what we got, but you know, just something to watch for. Socket for that, and there's a dimple in the top of this nut, so we need to kind of pry that back out a little bit. Alright, so we're just going to use a punch to try and get up under there and make that mostly round again. Looks pretty good to me. And then I don't have metric sockets this size, but I do have standard, and it's 1 7/16, so somebody else can do the math on that to tell you what that is. Let's see if this will take it. Alright, yes, I know you're not supposed to run these kind of sockets on an impact, but we're going to give it a shot. No power. This is just an old Craftsman model 875. Had this for a lot of years. In fact, the forward doesn't even work anymore, only reverse works. One of the vanes inside broke. And haven't been able to get, well, haven't really looked, but I haven't ever really looked, I guess, to see if I could get parts for it. I probably should. So now, we just need to hit the dimple here and push this CV joint out. See if we can get the whole thing to come loose. And my hope is we don't have to take the steering linkage loose, but if we do, to lay it down further, we will. Okay, see, this other end's not doing too well. And normally, you grab a hold of this and pop real hard, and it'll come right out. But this one, because it's been having issues, has come apart. So we're gonna have to try and get a couple of pry bars back in there and try and pry the rest of it out of the transmission. There it goes. All right. So you got it out of there. Now no fluid is going to come out because the fluid level, this is just a bearing for a jack shaft going all the way across. So there's no transmission fluid in that area. On the old joint here, there's a dust shield that covers up that seal in the back there. So you'll have to take this off to put it on your new CV axle. And on the new one, it just slides on. The other one, I had to tap it a little bit with a hammer to take it off, but and you can see right down here, there's a lip where this needs to set down to all the way to fit correctly. So that's it. Make sure you get the right part number. For mine, it's the one ending in 99 instead of zeros for the right side. Remember, when you're looking at parts for your car, you always consider the parts from the driver's seat. So if you need something for the passenger side, that's the right hand side of the car. It doesn't matter whether it's the engine, a wheel, a brake. that. And we're fully seated. So bring this back up. Support that for a moment. All right, with those started through the holes, we can put our brakes back together. We have to have this nut off so that we can put this bolt in, and that's really the only one. We'll do the brake sensor while we're over here. I know I hit these sure shots with you guys all the time, but I sure like them. That'll get torqued down, and then we'll crush the edge of it to get everything lined up. Guys, that's it. It's a pretty quick job. I mean, I'll probably spend an hour on it. We will time the other side just to kind of get an idea, and then I'll come back and place this speed sensor, which really is just undoing a 8mm bolt down here, a 10mm bolt up here, and unplugging it, plugging the new one in and rerouting it again. So really pretty quick, but let's do the other side. I don't want to mess with this other stuff yet anyway. All right, so here we are on the driver's side. We're going to hack the clock. Let me open that up, open up that app, set that. So we're going to hack the clock. Do everything, obviously I'd already have it jacked up, but we're going to do everything from pulling the wheels to putting them back on, because hopefully this side I don't tear up anything that I have to replace that didn't need it already. So here's the clock, it's started. Now my wheels have two different size lug nuts on them, because years ago, when I had these tires put on, actually, I had lost the key for the locking lug nuts that the factory had put on there, and so they had to break them off. What's funny is it wasn't very long after that that I found the key, and I knew I would. But, you got to do what you got to do at the time. And we needed tires. Can't remember, I think we were about to take a long road trip or something, and yeah, anyway, I thought it would be last time I put tires on this truck, but and I decided when we got my wife a new car to make this my daily driver, and that's how we got to here. There we go. Now this side has transmission fluid in it because it goes straight into the actual transmission. There's also not a dust shield that you have to remove or replace on this side. That's it. We're done with the leak. Almost got it. There we go. And we stopped the leak. That's all the fluid we got out of it. As you can see, once I got the shaft drove up in there, you got to seat it, which means you either got to keep pushing on it, or you can do like I did, get that end started, get the end that goes into your hub in, and then just basically you're going to shove up in there and it's going to jam it in. It'll take 2 or 3 times before it's seated all the way back, but it will go in. And as soon as it does, it goes past the seal and you'll quit getting that little bit of a leak. So once you pull this side out, just be ready to shove the new one in as quick as you can. Down to torquing a few bolts on this side. And I realize we're not 100% done, but 18 minutes and 10 seconds. So, moving right along. I'm gonna go look up the torque settings for all these bolts. I'll do both on both sides all at once. Now, I honestly spent more time looking up the torque settings for this stuff than it took to do all the work. One of the things I looked at when I was looking at this, it said put a light coat of oil on the back side of this nut so that it won't bind as you tighten it up for the torque. So do that real quick. Doesn't say anything about putting anti-seize or anything like that on it, so won't worry about anything there. And then just try not to get that on your rotor. We'll have to wait till we get the wheel on the ground. We'll just pop the center cap out of the wheel, set the wheel on the ground so we can't spin it, and then tighten that down. So that's it. We'll put the tire on with the center cap off, lower this thing down, torque that center nut. And this is ready to go get a, oh no, we got to do this sway bar. I'll be right back. These are just about as tight as my torque wrench will let me go. And if we didn't need to dimple that nut in, we could just put the rest of the lug nuts on and slide the little hubcap on, but we'll pick it back up, take the tires off, do that. We're also going to grease all the zerk fittings while they got the tires off. Right, while we're here, we'll go ahead and grease up these zerk fittings and then do the same on the rear. May be able to reach those without pulling the tires, but this one we needed to be able to dimple that nut. Get some grease in. Well, guys and gals, that's it. We've got the Revive My Honda Pilot project card. We've got the Honda Pilot Revive Your Daily Driver episode 3 basically done. I spent earlier 20 minutes and Yeah, 20 minutes and 2 seconds. How long it took to replace the CV joint on the driver's side. It came out just by snapping it or pulling on it, you know, one good pop and it popped right out, so it worked the way they should. Now I did have to go back and torque a few things that aren't on that timer and put the wheel on and drop it down and torque up the nut and then raise it back up, take the tire back off, dimple that nut so that it can't back off, put the tire and wheel back on, and I still haven't torqued all the lug nuts yet. But as a comparison, I also spent 22 minutes and 19 seconds replacing the sway bar bushings. I fought, 3 of the bolts came out super easy. 2 on the passenger side were not bad. The forward one on the driver's side, real easy. The back one on the driver's side was a pain. It was a half a click on a ratchet, and I had to use a little bitty. So I had to use this little ratchet right here. And because it's so short and so small, I couldn't get any real leverage on it. So that took a long time to get it broke loose, and then had to use it to tighten everything back up. And of course, you can't torque it with that little thing. So it is just tight as you can. But we got it done. But like I said, 22 minutes to do 4 bolts on the sway bar, 20 minutes to do a CV axle. So it's done now. I also spent more time on the sway bar bushings and greasing all of the Zert fittings that we've installed. I spent more time doing all of that than I did doing both CV axles. So to give you an idea, once you've got the car jacked up and start taking the tires off, those projects go pretty darn quick. Now, because you have to take the strut loose, you will have to do an alignment. So don't just do your CV axles, jump in the car and start driving, because you're going to wear out your tires. So we were already going to have to do an alignment, and that's why we've been doing these projects in kind of in the order we have. Obviously, it would have been better to do the CV axles at the same time we were doing the struts. Would have had a little more room to get in there and out, and we wouldn't have to do some of the stuff twice. But doesn't matter, we got it. That's it, episode 3 in the books. And next up is going to be, when I come up to episode 4, we're going to try and clean up these headlights. And I've got a sponsor coming on board to help us with some bulbs. So we're going to try a few things. We're going to try restoring this headlight versus a 6-year-old headlight. I'm going to pick up some new headlights, because why not? And we're going to compare the restored headlight, the 6-year-old headlight, and the new headlights. We would hope the newest ones, or the new headlights, would be better than both of the others, but we'll see. And then we're going to compare them all with factory bulbs, which are what's in here, and compare LED bulbs. So look forward to that in episode 4, probably a month and a half down the road. So again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications, all the other YouTube stuff. And we'll see you again next time on Allison Customs Project Car TV.